But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll ever stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she likes to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building this dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted Live, of course, here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm going to be your host and producer for this show, Logan Landers, and joining me here today to talk more so entertainment. Like I said, we normally talk sports, but we're also talking entertainment. We're talking music today. We're going to be talking about our musical GOATs, guys, gals who we think have transcended multiple genres of music across many, many years, and just have a nice little back and forth about it and just talk some music. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little bit lighthearted conversation, and it's going to be a fun time. But joining me here today, as always, my right-hand man, my guy, Mr. Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing this afternoon, buddy?
Hey, give me a full solo shot so I can show this real quick.
Okay, all right, hold on. Here we go.
Hey, so in lieu of today, like you said, Logan, we're switching gears just today because we wanted to do something kind of fun. And so this isn't my musical GOAT, but in lieu of today, this is one of my favorite bands. You can't say my favorite, but it's the Grateful Dead. If you know the Grateful Dead, you know the mascot. So
of
I
course,
got this a long time ago, and I just want to wear it today since we were talking music. You can take me off speaker now. But yeah, man, I wanted to do something in lieu of today being musical GOATs. And so with that being said, my musical GOAT is Prince Rogers Nelson, commonly known as Prince, or the male symbol, or any other thing that he's gone by.
That's true.
Obviously, Prince is no longer with us. Just like Michael Jackson is no longer with us, which I think Michael probably would have been my secondary GOAT. But the main GOAT for me is Prince. And it's for a lot of reasons. I mean, this guy, Logan, he was like the jack of all trades. He wasn't just music. The guy was a songwriter. He was a dancer. He was an actor. He was a producer. I mean, there wasn't anything that this guy couldn't do. Matter of fact, if you know an artist named Sinead O'Connor, then you know the song Nothing. What is it? What's the name of that song?
Nothing compares.
Nothing else compares to you. That was written by none other than Prince. He was actually supposed to sing that, but then Sinead came into his life, and he said this would be a perfect song for Sinead O'Connor. And boom, it blew up into the big multi-platinum hit that it became, all because of the songwriting that Prince did. Now, so let's go back into 2018. Justin Timberlake on The Tonight Show called Prince the GOAT. And this is Justin Timberlake, I mean,
well respected guy who's done the Super Bowl a couple times.
He had his own big thing,
Oh yeah.
So and then you just to take it one step further, Darling Nikki, which is another one of Prince's songs, which I'm going to go a little bit more depth in that song here in a second, but it was actually covered by none other than David Grohl.
Okay, all right.
David Grohl covered Darling Nikki, and Prince said he did a damn good job of it. Which if Prince said he did a good job on his song, Logan, that just kind of gives you an idea about it. Where even David Grohl, which by the way, some people can even make an argument that David Grohl could be the GOAT. Because just like David Grohl, believe it or not, Logan, just like David Grohl who, if you know the history of the Foo Fighters, when Nirvana first, when Kurt Cobain died, Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl picked up the reins, and I'll never forget it because I remember when his first album came out, which had the big Foo Fighter gun on it. When it first came out, I saw him live in Milwaukee on a side stage, not the big amphitheater, the big football arena. I saw him on a little tiny side stage, and he was still putting on the same kind of performance that he puts on today. But long story short, the reason I'm making that comparison was David Grohl on his debut album took it to record companies. He did every single instrument on that debut album. He did all of it and then pitched it to the record company. And of course, then, you saw where Foo Fighters went from there. And if you know anything about David Grohl, this guy has played with everybody from Led Zeppelin all the way down to the Beatles, McCartney. So Jimmy Page, McCartney. I mean, he's played with all the bigs, all of them. But because they all respect David Grohl. And if you get Paul McCartney to respect you, that's
you're doing something right.
Yeah,
no, you did
something right. But then you go, so take that over to Prince. Back to I'm going to relate that back to Prince. On Prince's debut album that featured Purple Rain, which obviously then went on to become a movie, and I'll get into Purple Rain here in another second, because there's a lot of things about that's amazing. But Purple Rain, Prince did every single instrument on that as well. Just like Dave did, Prince did it first. So Prince, that's why he's the GOAT, because Prince did it and then Dave did it much later. But every single instrument Prince played, the drum, I just play the drums and the lead guitar and the vocals and song, all that. It's insane, Logan. It's absolutely insane to say, okay, well, I played the bass guitar and I played the lead guitar. Okay, well, it's still kind of the same. The chords, everything's still the same. But when you go to drums, that's a whole, because now you're the timekeeper. You're not just a note, you're the timekeeper of the band, and that is extremely, extremely hard to do. Anyway, I regress. That was the similarity between Dave Grohl. And for those who maybe think Dave Grohl was the GOAT, well, you got to understand, Prince came before him and did everything like that before him. That's why I have him as the GOAT. The reason why he's the GOAT over Michael Jackson is because Michael Jackson could do half of what Prince did. Michael Jackson had a great choreography because he could dance really well, and he had great songwritings, but he didn't write his songs. Somebody else wrote his songs. Keep that in mind. And he had a good voice. Okay, then he was a good entertainer, but he's not the GOAT. Let me go on. So, like I told you, he's a singer, songwriter. He's also a beatboxer. He can play all the instruments in the band. He's a dancer, and he's broken race barriers. How many people do you know? He broke some serious racial barriers in the rock world and other world. Country world. All these different barriers. Because I remember he's writing songs for all these people. So he really transcends not only just pop culture, but country, rock, rap, beat. He's a whole thing in a bag of chips. Honestly, he really is. You go on, like I said, he's won multiple awards, or I should say Michael Jackson does have more awards, so I'll give Michael that. But Michael Jackson has influenced other artists in the way that Prince has, which is the reason why he's the GOAT, because he has transcended. He has now, starting to influence other artists. And then you can influence other artists and their sounds. That automatically tells you who the damn GOAT is, because I don't see people out there trying to imitate Michael Jackson. Just saying. You go on, he has a huge catalog. Logan, his catalog is so huge that when he passed away, there were songs, albums, tons of material still in his own personal vault that had never been released. I promise you, at some point, those songs will start coming out, and Prince is going to make him a lot more money. To go on from there, outside of his catalog, he has the second largest vocal range. He can go everywhere from. Actually, I didn't write that down. Dadgummit, I should have wrote that down. I forget what his vocal range, but he has the second largest vocal range. You know who has the first largest vocal range?
I was just going to ask who had. Ooh.
Who has the largest vocal range?
Freddie Mercury.
And you'd be spot on.
All right, I figured.
Freddie Mercury has the largest vocal range, and Prince comes in at number 2. So that just kind of tells you where his voice is in terms of that. Outside of that, you go on even further into it. His Super Bowl performance. A lot of people will tell you that they really enjoyed the Super Bowl performance that was done. Remember when Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and all those guys got together?
Just a couple years ago.
A lot of people thought initially that might have been, but no. A lot of those artists will flat out tell you that Prince's Super Bowl performance, I think it was, let me see if I wrote that down, which it was the one in 2007 that he did. I don't know the number of it, but it was a Super Bowl that was in 07. He played his solo, Logan, and most of this stuff in the rain. It was raining during his performance. And a lot of people will tell you that he had singularly the best Super Bowl performance ever. And there's been, 58 Super Bowl appearances? I don't even know how many of those actually had Super Bowl acts, because I don't know if back in the first through third Super Bowls, when Green Bay with Vince Lombardi, I don't know if they had a musical act. But this was by far the best through a lot of musical musicians that will tell you that single performance was the best. I think a lot of people were actually saying that his guitar solo that he did was absolutely amazing, and some even said it was stupid. I think Dave Grohl might have been one that said it was stupid, but he goes on. Do you know what? Okay, let me ask you this: do you know how old he was when he wrote his first song, Logan? Take a guess.
Ooh, I'll go young. I'll go like 7.
Damn, dude, are you researching? Are you googling it?
No. I'm just throwing
over there.
I'm not. How would I know?
I don't know. I think you're googling, but anyway, I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
Go ahead.
Do you know what his first song was called at the age of 7?
That I don't. That's how you know I'm not googling that, because it would have popped up.
It was called Funk Machine. So if you ever want to hear Prince's first song that he did at age 7, just go Google Funk Machine and you can hear his first song that he ever wrote. The yellow guitar that he played in Get Off was actually that he did the music video for Get Off is now actually in the Smithsonian, Logan.
Not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Smithsonian.
It's in the Smithsonian. That's even, to me, that's like a step above, the rock and roll, right?
Right.
I mean, when your guitar is in the Smithsonian, that just kind of tells you a little something about Prince. He also produced the movie Purple Rain, just so you know. And the album that he produced, one album of the year, the Purple Rain, I think got Screenplay of the Year. I mean, he's got multiple awards just off that one movie that he did. That just kind of tells you how he was as a producer, how he was as a songwriter, how well he was as at writing his songs and so forth. I mean, the guy just had it all, Logan. Just had it all before he passed away. Anyway, so that's my case study for why I think Prince is the musical GOAT.
Yeah, and I mean, you brought up great points, and the fact that I think the big one too, especially when you look at solo artists, and we'll talk about bands in a moment, but especially for solo artists, a lot of them don't generally write their own music. They might have a hand in it,
right? But
it's rare that they're the sole writer or the very first person who comes up with. Like you said with Prince, that was all him. That he just had a mind for talent. Obviously, like you said, that since he started writing music at age 7, and then really never stopped. I mean, he was always touring or, like you said, producing, or he always stayed busy. And like you said, he's able to play multiple instruments. Played forever. I mean, like you said, he played from all the way until his death in 2016. But yeah, just a very, very talented musician. Inspired a lot of people just with how versatile his songs were, and how good just the impact his stuff had. But yeah, I mean that's definitely a great point as to why. Prince could be the musical GOAT in your eyes and a lot of people's eyes. And, I mean, it's all good, well, and done. Like a lot of people are going to say, Michael Jackson. That's a big one, which you can understand why. I mean, my God, he had women fainting whenever he walked out just before he even touched the microphone. So, and I think in terms of entertainment, I don't think anyone's going to touch that.
I don't know. Let me post one thing.
Okay.
Elvis Presley did the same damn thing when he first came out. So I almost look at Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson as kind of like one of the same. Because Elvis could also dance very well too. Matter of fact, he put a lot of girls on their knees when he would dance.
And let's not forget too, Elvis's dancing was so, I'll say, quote unquote, for this time period, salacious.
Yeah.
That remember he was getting kicked off of TV and radio. They said, "Hey man, You better not move those hips.
And they shoot him from the waist up because of that.
Boy, if we came a long ways, haven't we, Jay?
Yeah, when you consider like Miley Cyrus and what she does,
yeah,
and,
I'm about to say
Madonna and God knows all that.
I was about to say a lot of the rappers and everything, they're doing their thing, but yeah, so times definitely done change. But I mean, there's just so many. I mean, we could do breakdowns of genres. I mean, obviously, I think an easy one would be with reggae. It's got to be Bob Marley, right? That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that is the go-to. I mean, whatever you think of that genre of music,
right?
I mean, personally, I like Sublime, which is like a hybrid of
I know Sublime,
reggae.
Yeah,
so a little bit of a mix there. But yeah, I think definitely with Bob Marley. All of his however many sons he has, they're still touring. They're still playing today. So I mean, the name continues. You know, I mean, they just had a movie released about him not too long ago. As time we're recording this, so yeah, definitely most influential there. When you look at, I would say for rappers, that's a tough one. There's so many, and I think a lot of people are going to go with Tupac. That's a big one. Some are going to go Tupac. Some are going to go Biggie. Some are going to go even more current with maybe more so Dr. Dre, maybe Snoop Dogg. Some might say even Eminem. There's just that one's a little bit harder because there's so many different types and just subgenres and everything like that. So that's a tough one. I mean, for country, I'm not very super well versed in it, but obviously the one I immediately go to is Johnny Cash.
Absolutely, Johnny.
That's
because Johnny's another one of those musicians that rode the line between rock and country. He kind of was like right in the middle of all of that. To the point, Logan, where 9 Inch Nails, you remember the song Hurt by 9 Inch?
Yeah,
and then Johnny Cash at the age of like God knows what, late 70s comes out and does Hurt.
That was like
to the point where even Trent Reznor said, "Okay, Hurt is no longer a 9 Inch Nails song. It is now a Johnny Cash song." When the artist says you did it better than he did, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, and I mean, and usually whenever you do hear that song, it is for the most part the Johnny Cash version.
It is. It's
And like I said, no disrespect to them. That just tells you how good of a song it was. The fact that he was able to, he said, what, I'm going to put my own twist on this.
Absolutely. And don't forget, speaking of trends, don't forget the first white rap group that really kind of broke the barrier into the African-American rap world. Because let's be honest, when you think of rap, the first thing you go to is African Americans. That's typically that's who that's their like rock is kind of more the white rap is more, but Beastie Boys,
because they
played all their own instruments.
Yeah, you're right, and
forget about the Beastie Boys and how they transcended before Eminem really broke it all the way wide open. Beastie Boys said it first.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and. Like I said, I mean, you look at, artists today who are multimillionaires like Drake and The Weeknd, who are on every commercial you see. I mean, they're just having tremendous success. Some other country artists I thought of, Jay, just in the meantime, I think you got to think of, the Hank Williams family, him, his son. They both had a lot of good songs. Got to have Willie Nelson in there. Got to throw Willie in there. He's still going.
You got to throw Willie in there. Matter of fact, if you're going to go down the Willie Nelson route, though, you know who else is another trendsetter? Is Aaron Lewis. Because you remember, he was the lead singer of Stain, but then he goes out solo and does his whole country music thing solo to the point where Willie Nelson is singing songs with him on his CDs, MP3s nowadays.
Not even nowadays. Streaming nowadays.
Now it's streaming. So
I say we're really just going through them now. But yeah, got to throw them in there. Merle Haggard, that's one family always listened to. That was a big one. And of course we got to throw Waylon. Yep, and probably the most famous female country artist. Little place down in Tennessee, Jane. Yeah, I think you know where we're going. We're going to Dolly Land. Gotta go Dolly Parton, who this past year just released a rock album. So she's trying new stuff after all these years, inducted into the Hall of Fame, and really just has her own lane. There's a couple other really good artists, but I think when you think of female country, a little bit more pop as well, you got to throw Dolly in there. That's the be all end all. I would think so.
Because Whitney Houston actually, and I forget the name of the song, but Whitney Houston actually covered one of Dolly Parton's songs and rebirthed it into R&B or stuff like that. So yeah, that kind of shows you Dolly's influence on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, it's crazy just how much her stuff is covered and highly praised. And I mean, when you look at other genres like R&B, I always think just because I was born in Georgia and you heard a lot of it growing up, it was a lot of Usher. A lot of Usher. Jay.
Usher is amazing.
A lot of Usher. I mean, he killed it at the halftime show this past year for the Super Bowl. Just tying back into that. But I think the big one that we'll have probably the last 9 minutes of the show here is rock artists / bands, because there's just there's I mean, you could go way back to like Chuck Berry and company. You could roll with
Berry, man. How much influence do you think that guy has had on rock? I mean, all of them kind of come from the lineage of Chuck.
You can just with the way he was able to play, and then you can go with more so band success in the ways of the Beatles and the Beach Boys. I mean, both of those bands were trendsetters. And then I mean, there's just a large selection that they go off into their own subcategories. When you think of like punk rock, you think of the Sex Pistols or the Ramones.
The Ramones,
Misfits, or something like
that. Led Zeppelin. Look at if you think about like Stairway to Heaven. In my mind, when I think of like, what do you think was like the most technically difficult song to play, like of all time? I go straight to Stairway to Heaven because it had so many different speeds, time signatures, changes of octaves. Everything. I mean, it was all over the place.
No, it was it's tremendous, and that there's a reason why either whenever you see that song come on, it's like, all right, time to play it, or oh god, here's 9 minutes of a song.
I mean, when I think of it, there are 3 influential bands in rock. And now I understand the Beatles are rock, and I'm not saying anything like against them.
Of course, yeah.
But there are 3 truly inspirational. From a technical difficulty to octaves difficulty to time signature difficulty, and then of course you got the entertainment aspect of it. I think the number one band for me is still Freddie Mercury and Queen. I think because Queen went everything from rock to disco to opera, for crying out loud.
And it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were the first ones to actually use an orchestra in their sound before Metallica did it, and a few others. And I think Dave Grohl did it with Skin and Bones when that CD came out. He obviously used an orchestra as well. But it all goes back to Queen. And Queen always told you there's because they asked me, well, what are you? Queen said, we're not one thing. We're everything. We are what Queen wants it to be. That's how they can metamorphosize. If you go back and listen to all their catalog, they can metamorphosize everything. And I mean, when you watch Freddie Mercury on stage and what he does with that piano and everything else, his body movements, how he got when you go back to what was that? Was it the AIDS festival that he did out there in Africa? Remember that?
Yeah.
When he did that Live Aid, he actually performed in Wimbledon Stadium, and he sold out Wimbledon. And they said by and large that Queen was the best performance in all of Live Aid. And you got to remember, he's going to be against some serious powerhouses out there when Live Aid was done. I mean, big bands, Elton John. I mean, all the big guys were out there, and they said that by and large. And this is at the tail end of Freddie Mercury's life, because at that point he had already been diagnosed with full-blown AIDS at that point. So he's at the tail end of it, but he's still out there. Just I mean, charismatically the best performance in front of probably billions of people, and you're talking about the best out there ever. So I got Queen at the number one. At number two, I would probably put. That's where I would throw in Led Zeppelin. And then at number 3, I gotta throw in the Doors. And the reason why I throw in the Doors, they weren't exactly the most technically best band out there, but Jim Morrison's lyrics as a storyteller was by far one of the best ever. Even though he was plastered on drugs, but he was still one of the best out there. Those would be my top 3 bands in rock that could transcend different categories, not just their own.
No, I mean those are great points, and you brought up Elton John, who is tremendous at what he does. Another one too, just here recently, who's going to stop performing, Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, Billy's got a lot out there, and Bruce does too.
Yeah, I'm about to say. So and the reason I found Billy Joel, or I'm talking about this because his sold out streak, Jay, at Madison Square Garden, from his first show in 1978 through this year,
right?
Every single one of his shows was sold out.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. and that it's hard to sell out one show, let alone every single one you go to for 50 plus years, or whatnot. Yeah. That is insane talent. You got to throw bands like the Rolling Stones, who, my God, they're still touring at 80 and having kids.
They just they were just in Houston not that long ago. Maybe
they were just in Atlanta a couple weeks ago.
My cousin went to that, and she said Mick hasn't lost a step. She said even at 80 years old, he's just as vibrant, and their show is just as vibrant as when they first came out.
No, I mean, which is crazy. The fact that they're still, first off, the fact that half of them are still alive, and the other half is that they're still touring.
Richards specifically.
Yeah, I'd say mostly Keith Richards. But I mean, you look at bands who kind of helped and set a new tone, like Green Day. They were big with that. You mentioned Nirvana with grunge music, and Foo Fighters and whatnot. And I mean, there's just so many just bands and other artists out there you can look at. And I think maybe like the most, just in terms of show business wise, in terms of just a performance. I mean, you got to throw Kiss in there, right?
Oh yeah, Kiss was just. The thing about Kiss was they were just they were very, very number one, they had a great marketing team that could market the hell out of that band. And number 2, they weren't so much musicians as they were entertainers. Like when I look at Kiss, that's just straight entertainment.
No, you think of the fireworks, the flame, you think of everything. And
they even had their own cartoon and their own movie. They had a Kiss movie. I mean, but Logan, we're forgetting somebody.
Who we forget?
We're forgetting a very, very influential person that we forgot about.
Who was that, Jay?
BB freaking King and that guitar Lucille.
Oh yeah.
Because without BB King, most likely there would not have been as good of a Stevie Ray Vaughan, and we all know how good Stevie Ray Vaughan was. But he basically was influentialized by BB King, and BB King he really had a big hand in the rock and roll scene as well when he first came out.
Yeah, and no doubt, and like you said, we could go on forever, Jay. Talk about. We probably listed 300 musicians in 30 minutes, and there's still so many more that we forgot about, just because of that, just because of the longevity and how many artists come up. Those who have really good peak, or those who just for their whole careers never seem to fall off, which is really hard to do. But I mean, we want to hear from you though, our fans. We want to hear it from y'all. Who do you think is the musical GOAT? Either it could be a band, an artist, male, female, whichever. Which genres. There's so many you can pick from. We just want to hear from you though in our comments. You can check us out, all of our shows on Facebook. You can check us out also on X, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. We're also over on LinkedIn as well. And Jay, I'm going to play this little short preview here we put up the other day, and then we'll get our final goodbyes here. So we'll be back in just about 30 seconds. So sit back and enjoy this preview for an upcoming show here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. There it is, Jay. Your baby's back. The Whiskey Hour podcast coming soon to the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Guys, be sure to stay tuned into all of our social media channels so you get updates and when our first show is going to drop and everything along those lines. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be Jay and Phil Tross doing the bulk work of it. I'll be on there. The rest of the guys on the network will help and pitch in as well. We're excited to have just another show talking about everything from sports to entertainment to everything else in between, a general talk show. It's going to be a fun time. And Jay, I can't wait for it, brother. It's going to be a fun time when it drops. And like I said, you got to stay tuned to figure out when our first show is going to be. But until next time, everyone, we'll see you again on another live episode.